The way that the body is breathing, the inhale, the exhale, the inhale, it's just continuous. That the universe is doing the same thing. Is like this continuous expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction. And so there's the up and then there's a down. And what we tend to do in our lives is reject the down. Without the down, there can't be the next up. So it's like, yeah, I like inhales, but I don't like exhales.
Life is going to happen, and there's going to be cycles. There's going to be pain. There's not ever going to be a life without pain. We have the free will choice to either come into a state of trust in ourselves that we can be in them and surrender and move through them, or we can resist. And if we're resisting and trying to stop, that to me is where maybe the victimhood could come.
As we're shifting in and out of these brainwave frequencies, it's like how we perceive thoughts, how we perceive sounds, it's a brainwave frequency. You know, the beta, the alpha, the theta, the delta, the gamma, they're faster and then they're slower. So as I like to say is that life is not about good or bad and right or wrong. It's more about energy, and it's either high or it's low. Choice is always ours.
Right. And we choose the frequency that we're in. We are fully responsible for our experience. Even if we're in high frequency, yes, difficult things can happen. Pain happens. Sadness comes, of course. But we're still the energy that we are within it, that we choose to be within it, and can still find, a blessing in it while we're navigating trauma. Sometimes it's outright confrontation with something that's painful, but it's just pain. We can acknowledge it. I can acknowledge that I'm in pain without blaming and allow myself to feel it.
Beautiful souls, curious minds, welcome back to yet another Awaken Aware podcast session. Today, Tammy and I are going to talk about cycles and rhythms in nature, in our lives, physically, mentally, emotionally, and how we are not victims of these cycles. Rather, knowing about these cycles helps us shift through when the difficulties arise. And as we continuously practice, we'll learn to handle difficult situations with a little bit more grace, trusting that the situation we find ourselves in and the pressure we're experiencing is there for a good reason. And we are there not to try to fix something, not to try to swim up the stream, but rather embrace, allow, and welcome whatever is coming to our life. And let's jump right into it. All right, beautiful souls, curious minds, welcome back to another podcast session here with Tammy again. And thank you for coming by again, Tammy. And let's talk about cycles of everything. So one of the things that I was pondering about was the when we experience the highs and the lows in our lives from perspective of emotions and even the thoughts or whatever else comes, and then obviously feeling things in our bodies as a pain or as a joy on opposites, is that the life basically is just like one continuous cycle of breath. The way that the body is breathing, the inhale, the exhale, the inhale, it's just continuous. That the universe is doing the same thing is like this continuous expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction. And so there's the up and then there's a down. And what we tend to do in our lives is obviously reject the down. Oftentimes anyway. So without the down, there can't be the next up. So it's like, yeah, I like inhales, but I don't like exhales. So I started to think about it from this perspective. And in nature, obviously, we all understand the day and the night. Again, if we just had a day all the time, we'd be so exhausted by the constant daylight. There would be no time to rest. Now, of course, modern days, we can probably get some blindfolds on and just like go to sleep that way or rest anyway. But the day and night cycle, again, it's the same idea that at night things rest and then during the day things grow. So there is that continuous cycle because that's how the growth happens. And without growth, obviously, I don't know how fun this life game would be. So whether we think of the cycles as in the nature's, spring and summer and fall and winter, or we thinking of a day and a night, or we're thinking of even in the human body as cycles of breathing, and or whether we think of cycles of sun and the moon and tides and lows and women's menstrual cycles, and it's just like it's all coming up and going down and coming up and going down. And the question is, can we be okay knowing that it's going to be this rhythmic flow and sometimes maybe brace ourselves for impact before we rise up and then we go down again, kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
everything that we experience is not random. It comes in cycles, it comes in patterns. And you can look at weather patterns, you can look at their repeat. It's just like the hurricanes and cyclones. They come at
Mm-hmm.
certain times of a year, they repeat constantly. Then there's the, if you want to look deeper, there's a repetition of cycles of the earth going through major fires, major floods, major winds, or major earthquakes, etc. So all the four elements are just cycling.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are times when all these elements will cycle all at once sometimes. And this is typically a time of a great changes, as it happens every few thousand years. And if you look into work of, for instance, Greg Braden and a few other scientists about the cycles of Earth, and I think he mentioned about 12,000 years, Earth goes through major changes, major changes.
Mm-hmm.
The north and south poles shift, not physical
Mm-hmm.
locations, but the magnetic locations. They shift as we go. And so that's a whole nother thing. We are just constantly in a cycle, and the recognition that, yes, it's not if I'm going to struggle next time, it's when I struggle next time, because it's just going to happen because it's a cycle again. We are not victims of, we could be, but obviously this is a question for any one of us. Is like, I can either be a victim of a cycle and just complain that these cycles are happening the way they're happening, or I can understand that the cycles are happening and make certain precautions in my life if I need to, or make certain choices that will help me in a low cycle and that will help me also in a high cycle. Sometimes being in a overjoyed space for extended period of time may be too much as well,
Mm-hmm.
so how do you see cycles for yourself? Like, is there something that you're noticing? Emotional cycles, mental cycles, etc. It's like noticing things that come and keep coming back, and then you feel okay, kind of like you get a break, and then you go back
Mm-hmm.
into it, and you notice any of
Yeah.
that.
So for me, what comes to mind is the only time that there's ever a struggle is if I'm either resisting the
Mhm.
the flow of the cycle, or which is still resistance, but like, so in other words, if there's just basic resistance in the first place, like I don't want to be in the flow, meaning whatever, I have some perception of why I don't want to be in the flow of something, that
Mhm.
resistance, or resistance of, am I lacking confidence? Like, am I resisting because I don't believe in myself to be in the flow? And so the only way to not struggle is to surrender. The trust, that belief comes from the trusting myself that I can be in the flow in confidence. That for me, it comes from faith. And so if I have faith, then I'm not, the perceptions of the can't and won't and what ifs and all of that, they're not there if I have faith.
Mhm.
Otherwise, the what ifs and projections, assumptions, or whatever, that of whatever comes to me that tries to inform me that I'm either not good enough, not able, not capable, something.
Mhm.
The cycles are going to happen. Life is going to happen, and there's going to be cycles. And some of them are, there's going to be pain. There's not ever going to be a life without pain. We have the free will choice to either come into a state of trust in ourselves that we can be in them and surrender and move through them, or we can resist. But if we're resisting the flow of a cycle, that we're being pushed against
Yeah.
because we're trying to stop when something's moving. And if
Yeah.
we're resisting and trying to stop, that to me is where maybe the victimhood could come. That's
Yeah.
an open door to like, why am I being
Mhm.
pushed? Oh, look at life pushing me. Oh,
Mhm.
why is life pushing me all the time?
Mhm.
It's trying to push me down. It's trying to push me out. No, it's just doing what it does. It's the flow. Life is just
Mhm.
being life. If
Life
we
is lifing.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, so it's lifing for everyone. The
Mhm.
flow is there for everyone. We all have different scenarios and different things that we do and all of that, but freedom from struggle comes from being willing to be in the flow and in the cycle. With awareness, self-awareness, and accountability, we can look at the cycles that happen and then look at the patterns. Like, there's cycles and then there's patterns. And the patterns are what we create. They're created from our beliefs or whatever they may be. And that's where our we have the free will to unravel those. But if we don't unravel those, then they become knots. And then that's the pushing against of a cycle.
Hmm. Yeah, I think of like if you're we talked about this before as analogy as if you're standing in a river and it's doable to swim against a stream,
Hmm.
but it's hard. And it's if you
Hmm.
want challenge, then yeah, go for it. Current is so strong that there's no choice but to just let go and let
Mm.
yourself kind of go easy in the direction that the flow is going. So see for yourself, like when you're breathing and you feel your lungs, you really feel like what the movement that's happening. If you take a breath and you let it down and you feel that movement of your lungs and just being with that inhale, that exhale, just feeling that cycle. And then now notice the heartbeat. Can you feel that the heartbeat there and just being that with that for a moment? And that's again, it's another just continuous cycle, right?
Mhm.
Until the
Right.
body is here anyway. And so
Mhm.
another bodily cycle that is obviously, as I spoke of already earlier, is the circadian rhythms that are created within our pineal gland is basically responsible for regulating the circadian rhythms. When there is a darkness, when there is a light, the sight obviously captures to retina, goes the signal goes to the pineal gland saying now sending out these hormones in order to get the body going. And now at night when it's dark, now pineal gland is getting responded. It's dark and it's settling the body for rest. So
Mhm.
it's a again continuous cycle. And it's not something that I mean can be affected and we can affect, like I said, if I just had moved in a place that doesn't really have a night for
Mhm.
half a year, somewhere north or south, and my circadian rhythms may be affected. But again, it can be affected by just putting some blindfolds on your eyes and just telling your brain, "Hey, we're actually shutting down. We're actually
Mhm.
going to sleep, rest, whatever."
Mhm.
But there's this constant push from society to push the body more and more and more, and there's less recovery time. And I want to just say to everybody in the sense that going back to like what nature provides, and it's like going into honoring what comes, being able to honor, like, yeah, sometimes I feel tired and I know I should go do this or go, take care of this or take care of that, but I'm just really pretty tired. Can you honor that in that moment? If
Mhm.
can you um, say if something is pretty important and you really feel like you would prefer resting at this point, could you go somewhere and take care of that? Yes, you could. Could you also call a person and say, hey, you know what? I'm not feeling it. And would you be okay if we just move the meeting or whatever it is, right? So
Mhm.
knowing that the self physically enough to honor your body's rhythms and just allow it to rest more sometimes. Like I'm not an expert on women's cycles, but when there is a menstrual cycle, typically the woman is a little bit more tired and then before the menstrual cycle, or maybe it's after, it doesn't matter. So there is a tiredness or there is a just edge. There's just
Hmm.
edge,
Hmm.
like you're on edge.
Right.
And can we like honor that? That, you know, I just feel pissy for no reason, apparent reason anyway, and just
Right.
let me be that way, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and every woman is different,
True that. Yes, of course. Hmm.
right? Like some women have violent headaches
Hmm.
and then they know, okay, or
Hmm.
they're tired and then some, like even within the natural
Hmm.
cycles of life, two people can have entirely different experiences in the same natural cycle
Environment.
that's happening, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I like to think about life as, what if there's a treasure in everything? And so through life, we move through the cycles of life. And that moving through is where unraveling or, you know, unearthing layers. We're moving through layers
Hmm.
of life, whether they're past, present, whatever, there's layers. We're having experiences. And so if experiences were layers, it's like the dig is worth it if we know we're digging for a treasure and we know there's a treasure there.
Mm.
The work of the dig
Mm.
is maybe more worth it. Maybe we're not dreading it. If we're just digging and it's effort, it's like, ugh, you know. But
Hmm.
if we move through life in an assumption that even though the digging, the layers,
Hmm.
even if it's still the same effort, it's still, work, it's still process. But if we do that and we advance in life in that thought that even though it's hard, there's a treasure in there.
Hmm.
It might be all the way at the end, and it might be, months or years of trials and difficult layers. Might be two, it might be a few, it might but what if we weren't so focused on how hard it is to move through the layers, which to me is the surrender to the flow. To be in the cycle of the flow of life. If we're not moving in the cycle, we're not alive. Like if we're not expanding, well, the alternative is, death. If we're not growing, right? And so
Hmm.
expansion and growing, but it only comes, through that and from that.
Yeah.
And so different people being in the same cycle of life and having different experiences, I look at that if we let go of comparison, whether it be to another person or to ourselves, like, oh, I should be doing this better. Or,
Hmm.
oh, look, that person. Oh, look, if we're talking about women, oh, well, she's got a big job and she's navigating a big job and she doesn't feel good because of her cycle.
Hmm.
Oh, mine isn't even that bad, and how come I'm not as productive and I'm more tired than she does? And oh, how come I have a headache and she doesn't get, like, if we get into that loop, that's a pattern of thinking that's going to be resistance in the natural organic cycle,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
is acceptance. To your point, we all of it, accept all of it unconditionally and unapologetically. Maybe once a month I take 2 days off of work because I just can't function because I have a migraine.
Hmm.
Okay, maybe we can accept it.
Hmm.
Maybe we find understanding people and maybe whatever.
Yeah.
The willingness. Yeah.
Yeah. And just quickly on it, since you touched this, is that sometimes I feel like we look for excuse to take those 1 or 2 days off in a month, and so we get sick. But it doesn't have to be that way. It's like you
Hmm.
can just give it to yourself and just call it, mental day, whatever I think that people refer to it as a mental
Yeah,
day
like
off,
mental health
right?
day or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
yeah. Because,
stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah.
it's like we don't have to. And in fact, like if the only way that you can give your body break is to physically be down, you're still suffering. So you're still not really just saying, hey, you know what? I deserve to just have a day off, extra day off, let's say, or week off, whatever, because I feel it. I feel like I want to. Okay, well,
Hmm.
take week off, take 2 weeks off. Just obviously
Hmm.
there's gonna be some consequences for some of that, possibly if you have a if your employer doesn't allow for more than like week or two of a holiday paid, then you may have
Mhm.
to take an unpaid holiday or vacation. But again, just like take the time in whatever it feels like. It's just like, okay, well, I feel like I want to stay home and just be today. Okay,
Yeah.
do that, kind of thing. Pushing through
Yeah.
is what hurts us.
Right. Because the another suggestion in there or an alternative is if we're in a state of complete self-awareness, self-acceptance, self-care, we have a choice. Maybe we know that, for on this subject of a woman or, anybody that knows or that something wears them down, a certain thing comes up that they know is particularly difficult for their system, men, women, whatever it might be.
Mhm.
Yeah, we can say, "Oh, you know what? I know that, towards the end of the month, I just always get drained because the second and third week, it's just busy at work and I just always get drained. I'm always tired. I
Mhm.
always know, yep, I'm going to be out. I just know it's going to happen."
Mhm.
Okay, that
Mhm.
might be true. The job, the whatever, it might be true. You might have a job that's crazy, crazy, crazy busy for a couple of weeks, the same time every month. Might be true.
Mhm.
Okay, well, what if we get out ahead of it? What if
Yeah.
our awareness and unapologetically, unconditionally, we know, like as if, the flu season or something, you take extra vitamin C. You're not sick, but you take it as like, oh, I'm going to give a little boost. So what if we bring self-care in general in? What if we take a break? Um, you know, go to bed a little earlier, a few nights ahead of time rather than prepare for the exhaustion we're going to have because we know that's what happens. What if our preparation is towards wellness, not towards managing dis-ease?
Well said.
The busyness still happens.
Yeah.
We're not, oh, well, I got to quit my job because that's just how it is and that makes me tired. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Or we could show up ahead of time to life with that full focus on ourselves.
Mhm.
And then that manages it without, gearing up and armoring ourselves up for the projection of what's going to happen.
Mhm.
Because now we're just calling it in more because we're preparing for it. You
Mhm.
know, we're fighting the disease and we're fighting against. Well, instead of fighting against, why don't we just show up for and in the flow of ourselves rather than fighting against what might come?
Mhm.
And I'm all about like, no, surrender rather than fight against something because the surrender is going to be the preparation that is the guard without being guarded. It's just going to be built in.
Yeah, and I love that. Again, sometimes you've described this before in our previous podcast, but I also want to say it again, and is that surrendering isn't giving up, as you said
Oh,
before.
mm-mm.
No, it's far from that. It's like, you're in touch with the divine that's navigating this life, and then it's basically almost like saying, at least to me, and queers, would you say about that as well, is that it's like when I surrender, it's like me saying, I trust that whatever is moving this earth, whatever is spinning the universe, that power, that strength, the force that is out there that grows the trees, that grows our cells every day, there's some sort of intelligence behind this whole life thing.
Hmm.
Whatever that is, I trust it, that it's bringing
Hmm.
me where I am most needed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
just
I would
surrender to me.
surrender to me. Yes, is like the sitting next to the strongest person in the room or the smartest person in the room when you need knowledge. Surrender is positioning yourself within the highest form of source of all that is highest, whatever
Hmm.
that might be to us, whatever we call it. For me, surrender is it's sitting in the lap of God, of source. And like surrender is not this. It's not hiding.
Yeah.
It's sitting up tall because I know I'm sitting
Yeah.
in like the biggest chair. It's like one of those, I always say I'm gonna get one. There's these beanbag chairs
Yeah.
that are like as big as a bed. They're
Yeah.
huge,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like that. To me, that's surrender.
Yeah.
So I'm still upright, I'm still present, I'm still participating in whatever it is. I'm not dropping any action. I'm still in full on action in
Yeah.
life, whatever that might be.
Yeah, I suppose then the question would be like sometimes it's kind of hard to tell like when to surrender, when not to surrender in sense of
Mhm.
like or as you say, always surrender, right? But point
Mhm.
being is that sometimes we need to take action that doesn't seem like surrendering, seems like, yes, I have to, I don't know, take care of this paperwork for taxes because if I don't, I'm going to be penalized, possibly put to jail if I can't afford a penalty or whatever. So
Mhm.
there would be a major consequences that I don't necessarily want. And, maybe it would be lesser consequences for whatever else that you're doing.
Mhm.
But there's still consequences that let's say I don't want. So what would then the surrender look like in that sense? Is being able to say for myself is that okay, well, I don't necessarily know how to get out of this one or how to navigate this one. So guide me. And that would be my
Mhm.
surrender, to guide me. And so maybe that means I'm gonna meet next afternoon. I'm gonna go for dinner with someone, and they're gonna say, "Hey, you know what? I'm a tax accountant, and I'm looking for clients." And I'll be like, "Okay, well, can you help me with this thing I have going on with these taxes?" And
Mhm.
they'll like, "Yeah, absolutely. I can get you, give you a discount, whatever." I'll be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
great." To me, that's surrender. It's like you're still doing it. It's just like how it happens. It's easier than what you would have come up with otherwise. And it's not
Mhm.
to say that it couldn't work what you do in sense of like your own efforting, like trying and really working at something and spending hours and hours of doing something.
Mhm.
It's not that it couldn't work, but it's like drains you. Like it takes a lot more of your energy. So to me, it comes to efficiency,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. For me, surrender is just presence.
Hmm.
It's nothingness. Surrender is just a state of being. Is like to not surrender would be to stop breathing while I was working on something.
Hmm.
Like surrender is breath.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
just it's there.
Hmm.
So it's to not be surrendered would be like, okay, well, I need to really focus, so I'm going to stop breathing just while I work on this, and then I'll go back to breathing. And surrender is just a state. I'm not thinking about it. It isn't like it's not a tool. It's trust in like all that is. The state of surrender moves me out of the way for anything that's not mine to do, and what is mine to do comes naturally without me thinking about it. So the details always get done, but if I'm not surrendered, I'm creating more details that I think I need to have my hands on. So surrender is it like filters and I go slower and get more done. There's less details for me to even do. But if I'm not surrendered and I'm in a state of I need to do it, then my hands are in it. I'm not focused. And that's when things, because I'm doing stuff that's not mine.
Hmm.
And so, but if I'm in a state of surrender, I have, I don't have to worry about what's mine or not. Like, I don't have to figure it out.
Hmm.
My brain doesn't have to engage. My mind doesn't engage in what's mine or not. It just
Hmm.
comes very naturally in the flow. Because
Hmm.
surrender is being in the flow of the natural cycle.
Yeah.
So if I'm in the flow of the current, I mean, I might have to like paddle my oars a little bit. I might have to steer the boat, but I'm not, my energy isn't what's keeping the boat moving forward, the vessel of my life, because the current's taking me. So really, all I need to do is maybe kind of steer a little bit. So I'm
Hmm.
focused on where I'm going and I'm steering, I'm just maneuvering the boat, but I'm not making it. I'm not creating the force, and I trust that I know that the current's going where I need to go and that everything I need along the way, even when trials come up, all right, well, it came in the flow. I know I'm supposed to be in the flow, so then I know that anything that comes is mine. My surrender informs me of what I need to do, if anything.
Hmm.
Sometimes we're going through a storm and it's like, all right, just bow your head, take cover, and go forward. That's
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
And then when the storm clears, then you go clean up the debris that might have happened in the storm. But sometimes it's just do nothing, just bow your head and take the storm and go. And that's it. There's very little to do compared to what we think there is to do.
Hmm.
The surrendered state, there's actually not so much that we need to do.
Yeah, and it's interesting that a lot of times we think that if I don't manipulate something, maneuver something, cajole someone, coax and nag, and like if I don't do those things, that nothing
Mhm.
happens. And a lot of times the opposite is really true. We just don't give it even a chance oftentimes.
Exactly.
Is it because we are
Yeah.
so used to acting out of or behaving out of stress and tension and fear. And so
Hmm.
from that perspective, then anything that we do as is driven by the fearful response, like I don't want things to happen this way, so I'm gonna like manipulate them
Hmm.
so they happen that way, that the way that I want them to happen.
Right.
And it's just like, okay, well, yeah, I mean, sure, if you want to, but there are easier ways, kind of thing. And we
Hmm.
all do this,
Of course.
in different ways,
Hmm.
but there's always a choice. And again, we have a choice to be, like I was saying earlier, a victim in a circumstance, or just knowing that, you know what, I'm changing the circumstance. And
Yeah.
so, whether it's patterns of your mental ups and downs, or whether it's patterns of your or cycles of your emotional ups and downs, they're gonna come, they're gonna happen. And it's just like, what do you do to allow those cycles to pass through,
Hmm.
not stand in the way so you get hit by the
Hmm.
heavy way or something.
Hmm.
There's a principle in Hermetics that speaks of rhythms. There's seven principles, seven main principles that Hermeticism has, and this is an ancient Greek system.
Hmm.
And the fact that they thought of putting this also as one of the principles obviously means something that's important. Important to recognize more than, yes,
Hmm.
obviously everybody knows there's cycles in the nature. Everybody knows
Yeah.
there's cycles in the human bodies, ways that it breathes, like we said before, and functions. But where we seem to continuously get stuck is the patterns of emotions and thoughts moving through our
Hmm.
mind. And I hear people say every now and then that I don't have control over what thoughts are coming to me. Um, that's a excuse, and it's a victim kind of a state of being.
Hmm.
We have a certain frequency created by the way that we live. Obviously, we're the people that we've discussed this a million times.
Hmm.
The people that we are, surrounded by, our parents are affecting us, and we create a certain way of living, and then those are the thought patterns that would develop. And so if you have these thought patterns unexplored or unexamined, and they're just running on the background, then yes, it feels like you're a victim to life. But
Hmm.
if you actually start examining those thoughts, and it's like, why did I have that thought and not some other thought? If you start asking questions like that, soon you realize that you actually do have control over your thoughts. Because
Hmm.
this is just, again, it's just a frequency, vibration. It's like where you tune yourself is where you're going
Hmm.
to be. And you're gonna whatever you're tuned to, it's like a radio station or a TV station. You tune yourself to listen to news, and that's what you're going to be perceiving is the news.
Hmm.
Typically, the news are all about like let's control this and that, and let's show you the atrocities. There's very few times, I don't know if you guys noticed that, but very few times there's something nice on the news. Like
Exactly.
they don't show the story of a little Johnny at the school getting praised for taking care of another classmate or something like that, right?
Yeah. Right.
Those
Exactly.
stories are typically not on the news. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'd like those news better.
Hmm. Yeah. I like to look at it like we might not have control over what thoughts come, but we have a choice in how we move forward from it.
Right, right, right.
I mean, thoughts are coming all day, right?
Yeah,
All the time, thoughts are
yeah,
coming. And they're supposed to.
yeah,
And they're coming for us because then
yeah.
we get to choose what we do with them. If we choose to stay in a state of control, control is
Hmm.
resistance.
Hmm.
And everything informs us though. For me, if I'm feeling a sense of I need to control something, I need to do something so that something works out a certain way, I need to be a certain way, I need to have a certain kind of conversation, that immediately informs me that there's fear in me,
Hmm.
because there must be a fear of what the outcome's going to be if I don't control it to go a certain way. So maybe it's a difficult conversation with somebody that I care about. Maybe it's with, maybe there was conflict with someone and there's going to be another meeting, and I want to make sure there's peace this time. So, okay, if I control maybe the topics that come up or how I am, and if I control, like, that's just from fear, and that's going to cause suffering within me,
Hmm.
because then I'm in that controlling state, so I'm not being authentic.
Hmm.
I'm not being love. And so then if the other person, if that whatever I'm trying to control, now I'm already in a state of conflict, struggle, suffering.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's not going to go right, because no matter what, they could say something that has nothing to do
Hmm.
with the conflict that can happen in the past. They may have forgotten about it. The energy of it might not have even been there. Now I could say, well, yeah, but my motive was peace. I'm trying to control because I want peace. No, control is control.
Yeah,
And so if you're trying to control not having a conflict, you're going to call conflict in.
yeah,
And so that's what I say to myself, like, Tammy, you're going to create it, but it informs us.
yeah.
Or we can choose to just, like, be the state of peace, show up and trust, like, well, even if a conflict does happen, okay, like, it's okay. And so from a state of surrender, all of that is okay. That can all happen, because if surrender is the container that we're in, then we're not in control. So we trust, even God forbid something happens in a major conflict, we're in danger somehow, like even a worst case scenario. Okay, all right, I'll deal with it. You know, and we just have that, like, I'll be able to deal with it. It'll just come, but we're not, like, from surrender, we don't have to project it, and we don't have to control, because we know that we have a choice. So we don't have to live in a state of fear of any thoughts that come in,
Hmm.
because we know that we can absorb them. Like, if
Hmm.
we know that we're love, I know it's said all the time, but if we know that we are the source of what transforms anything unlike itself, and we know that we are that divine being, and we remember that, we're not even thinking about what might happen the other way in the conflict or the control. The thoughts come in, yeah, I don't like that one. So we just don't take it. Like,
Hmm.
we don't have to eat food we don't like, but
Hmm.
there's still going to be food on the menu that we don't like.
Hmm.
Do all the restaurants have to only have food that we like because we don't want the thought of a food we don't like to come in? Like,
Hmm.
and so it's, I mean, I know that's simple, and that's, you know,
Yeah,
I'm being funny a little bit, but really, isn't that, like, thoughts come in just like food we
yeah.
don't like.
Yeah,
But we
absolutely. I like the distinctions you're making. Yeah,
Mhm,
thoughts are coming in all the time because they're there all the time.
mhm,
So at one point I was thinking like, okay, so where do the thoughts really come from? To me, it's like it feels like it's there's a brain is basically an antenna that's receiving thoughts all day long,
mhm,
and then mind, the operating system of the brain, decides what thoughts are going in and what thoughts are not going in, and so that's the first filter in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And if we think of a cycle of a wave and then how anything affects us, it may start with a sound, with a word, right? So if you
Mm-hmm.
think about our mental, we talked about this before, it's like our mental body is outside of the physical body. And it's like if you think of a Russian doll thing, it's like a
Mm-hmm.
physical body is the last layer, then there's it's most dense, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
the frequency is the slowest. Then there's the emotional body outside of the layer of that. Then there is the mental body layer outside of that. And then the space itself, etheric body, etc. It's like auric fields, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if you think about it in that sense, the thought comes in and it's received by the mind first. The mind decides. It's like the first guard decides, am I gonna
Mm-hmm.
go let it in to be felt? Because that's the second layer of the this avatar's experience is
Mm-hmm.
the emotions, right? So am I gonna let it
Mm-hmm.
through the feelings and emotions body, the astral body? And so, if the guard passes it by, now we're feeling it. Whether it's
Mm-hmm.
heavy or whether it's fun, that doesn't matter. It's just like being felt. And
Right.
then, and once it's being felt on the astral body, obviously that translates into the physical body. And now, oftentimes, we may stick to, let's say, something that is negative and that is lowering our frequency. And as that frequency lowers, the body's getting sick. So, bodies,
Yeah.
when it vibrates slower, more bacteria gets in. When it vibrates fast, there's just no way for the bacteria to try to get in, kind of thing. That's how I
Mm-hmm.
look at it, how I see that. And so this is where we can talk about again the frequency precedes form.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Cron's quote. Something has to be thought, something has to be some sort of a sound
Mm-hmm.
in order to be felt, in order to go into the physicality. Yeah. So, and then in order to, let's say that there is some sort of a tension that we hold for an extended period of time in the physical body that becomes a pain or that becomes an illness over the time. In order for us to release that, oftentimes what has to release first is the emotion, because that's the
Mm-hmm.
next body out. And then once that emotion is just being felt, you sit with that emotion as we spoke before, feel it,
Mm-hmm.
allow it to be there. And then the next layer is the why. It's like, why did I let that in? Right. So now we have that mental body. It's like, okay, now processing it logically, and then it's free to go kind of thing. But if you're just
Mm-hmm.
trying to release physical body alone, or just the emotions alone, or just the thoughts alone, it's not enough. It's just not enough layer
Mm-hmm.
to basically process something. So that was as I was going through the cycles, it's like this is just another cycle also.
Mm-hmm.
Just and then as we're shifting in and out of these brainwave frequencies, it's like how we perceive thoughts, how we perceive sounds. It's a brainwave frequency. The
Mm-hmm.
beta, the alpha, the theta, the delta, the gamma, and all the frequencies that there are that we perceive, and each one of them, they're faster and then they're slower. So as I like to say, is that life is not about good or bad and right or wrong. It's more about energy, and it's either high or it's low.
Mm-hmm.
Choice is always ours.
Right.
So in that
Yeah.
sense,
And we choose the frequency that we're in.
yeah.
And if we look around and we're surrounded by low,
Hmm.
that means we're low or else we wouldn't be there. And that's where the choice comes in. So it's always returned to self because we are fully responsible for our experience. Yes, even if we're in high frequency, yes, difficult things can happen, pain happens, sadness comes. Of course. But we're still the energy that we are within it, that we choose to be within it, and can still find, a blessing in it while we're navigating the difficult parts. And sometimes it's trauma, sometimes it's outright, you know, confrontation with something that's painful,
Yeah.
but it's just pain. And so I think we were talking earlier, like it's pain because we can acknowledge it. Like we can acknowledge pain. I can acknowledge that I'm in pain without blaming the source of it
Hmm.
and allow myself to feel it.
Hmm.
Feeling pain doesn't make us a victim. It's acknowledging it. We're having a human experience. It's a feeling,
Hmm.
but it's only when we attach it to the pain. Yeah, but They, but they did that and they did that and that happened. And we're pointing at the source.
Hmm.
Like, if we can drop the source, if we could have an experience and have it be painful, and maybe there's a person right in front of us, and maybe they did something just flat out mean, just painful, and that you feel pain. We have a choice in that moment to first remove ourselves, of course, especially if we're in danger. We're not going to stay there and be like, okay, I don't want to feel, so I'm going to stay with you and come closer to you. That's like somebody holding a knife and cutting us and then holding our hand out for them to tend to our wound. No, tend to the wound, tend to the pain that we're in. Okay, you have a cut. Well, go clean it up and put a band-aid on it, or else we're going to get the infection, not the person that cut us. So we don't stay with it, but we can focus on the wound, whatever the wound is, that's the pain. Tend to it ourselves. Clean the cut. Put a bandage on. Does it need a stitch? Okay. We can go off on our own and tend to the pain of the wound, get away from the source if we need to. But if we focus on the source of the pain, the person, place, or thing, then that's the same as, all right, well, I'm going to sit here and bleed and I'm not going to clean it and I'm going to let myself get an infection and get more and more and more painful, because I can only be out of pain if that source changes and they do something different. Then
Hmm.
I can feel better. When they say the thing to me I need to hear, when their apology is the right words, when they do enough to take away my pain because of what they did, then I'll feel better. Well,
Hmm.
you're never going to feel better. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we can remove ourselves from that and take full responsibility
Yeah.
and then move forward. And that's being in the flow. That's
Yeah.
self accountability and responsibility.
Yeah. And otherwise, I feel like you would perpetuate a cycle of
Yeah.
self-demise
Hmm.
in a sense. Like,
Of course.
yeah, you are still in cycle. It's just that it's like it's not a growing cycle, it's the killing cycle in a sense, or dying cycle, maybe.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because if we think our healing comes from the source healing of the pain healing us, we're going to keep going to the same sources, the same relationships, the
Yeah.
same people, the same thing. We're going to just stay there and we're going to keep going back in, because if we think that the transformation with that source is what's going to heal us, no, the transformation happens within us.
Hmm.
That otherwise we're swimming upstream, going against the current, saying, no, I have pain because this person did this certain thing, this behavior, and I'm in pain from that behavior.
Hmm.
So I need to go be with that behavior until I can be healed and be with that behavior at the same time.
Hmm. Hmm.
No,
Hmm.
alignment will never
Hmm.
ever come. And and so it's all about how we think we transform. We transform from within. It's the layers within. Why am I going there? Why did I self sacrifice? Why did I choose to be in something that didn't feel aligned? Why did I
Hmm.
stay? Like, the why comes from within, and the healing comes from us, with ourselves.
Hmm. As you're speaking, what comes to mind is that what we spoke earlier about, and my situation was a couple weeks ago when I was telling you that I felt stuck.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, uh, and then you were reminding me, it's just a phase that it's like it's given you're given a time to rest, to prepare, to recoup, and to
Hmm.
prepare for something that may be coming that's going to require a lot more of your strength than
Yeah.
you would otherwise be able to get. And so
Hmm.
this downtime sometimes comes, whether it's as a sickness, whether it's as a just a feeling of stuckness. um, it's lovely to have people around yourself who can, remind you that it's not
Yeah.
stuck. It's just you're in a phase, you're in a cycle that's
Hmm.
preparing you to,
Yeah.
skyrocket basically, or whatever,
Hmm. Yeah.
just go back up kind of thing. and then
Right.
down again and then up again. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
all the time. And being able to embrace that, a lot of wisdom comes from that. The
Yeah.
knowing of that the cycles are constantly in place, and just like when you are experiencing some sort of whatever you may name, anxiety or depression or a feeling of stuckness, just sitting with it and recognizing, okay, is this is a temporary down. I'm on a
Mm-hmm.
downslope. It's okay. It's okay to be here because it's something is preparing me to rise again.
Yeah. It's the pause.
Yeah.
Like the pause prepares us without projections.
Hmm.
So in the pause, it's a rest and it's preparing for what's to come
Hmm.
without the projections of the control, the fear, so that they don't clutter up the path. The
Hmm.
path becomes clear. The pause is the surrender that's going up ahead, clearing the debris from the path so that our steps, we still have to walk the steps, and sometimes they're mountains, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's cold and wet and muddy.
Yeah.
But the path is clear though and direct, like we can see it.
Yeah.
And the pause is just it's a holding still while it's prepared, and
Hmm.
it's preparing us. And it also is the pause, that in that state of surrender, we can see all of the, we say, oh, show me a sign. I just need a sign that I'm on the right path. Let show me something.
Hmm.
Well, if we're like this and looking in the control and we're doing this,
Hmm.
we can't see it, and then we're going fast, because if we're in control, we're trying to rush because we feel like we're being left behind and we're always moving too quickly.
Hmm.
But that pause, it's preparing us for that, and it's opening us so that we can see. It's never stuck. The
Hmm.
only stuckness comes from control. That's what creates the barriers. But
Right,
it's a
because
gift.
I love that because it is a gift. And it's like
Hmm.
there's the reason again was said before, the control even comes to us as an option to of behavior is because there is some sort of underlying fear to that. So explore for yourself like okay, well, like where is that? Like what is that fear that's within that's making me unsettled, that makes me feel like I'm missing out, that makes me feel like I'm
Hmm.
going too slow or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
exploring that
Hmm.
perspective and then looking at it. And I love what you said that we don't have to, there's a quote from Lao Tzu. He says, "The nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished."
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
and it's just like, yeah, we don't have to try really hard.
Hmm.
Being in alignment is really what life is about. And
Yeah.
being out of alignment isn't a bad thing. It's
Mm-mm.
just another opportunity to get into alignment.
Well, sure. I mean, how do we learn to balance? By being off balance.
Yeah.
Otherwise, how would we know? How would we
Yeah.
learn? How would we be familiar with our body and how we need to move to be balanced unless we were off balance? And so yeah, the it's just we talk about contrast. Like, yeah, we need it because that's what shows us. That's what's
Mhm.
there. But from a paused, surrendered state, it's not scary. And from
Right.
faith, we bring that back in order to allow the pause, that base foundation of like trust and faith in self. That's why that comes first. It's why awareness is first.
Yeah.
Coming into awareness and like trust of self. If we don't have trust in ourselves, like if I don't already know that I'm capable of balance, if I didn't know that I could stand up and I knew what walking is and how to then, well, I'd be afraid to stand up.
Hmm.
I'd be afraid to walk forward.
Hmm.
But so that like that trust in self that comes from the awareness and the allowing and and just assuming, just imagining that we might be okay. Like, do all the stuff we need to do. We don't not just going out in life aimlessly. Like, we do the things, and we seek wisdom and we seek advice, but then there comes a time to just, okay, I'm going to go try.
Mhm.
I'm going to go out and try. But trying in a state of trusting oneself is a whole different experience than trying thinking the world is out to get us.
Mhm.
Like, why would
Mhm.
you go out into the world if we thought like that, the sky was falling and life was going to, so if we just consider that, all right, well, I'm going to go out and assume that everything's going to be okay. I'm going to go, and my encouragement to people is always start really small. Like, I make it kind of a game and think about, like, okay, I don't know if I said it here, I said it before we got on, but like, I assume that, I'm going to have a sweet conversation with the cashier at the grocery store. I'm going
Mhm.
to assume that, traffic's going to flow easily, whatever, all little things that are daily things.
Mhm.
Maybe they won't be, but
Mhm.
maybe the cashier, maybe she's not going to be friendly right away, but maybe she's having a bad day. And maybe because I'm in this state, maybe I'm going to smile and I'm going to look cheerful, and maybe that's going to change her. Maybe she just needed somebody to be cheerful, and maybe I'm cheerful, and maybe I'm exuding that energy because I made the effort to assume, like, and it'll unravel, and maybe we'll hit a traffic jam. Maybe. But then maybe
Yeah.
while you're sitting in the traffic jam, then maybe we see a really, I don't know, a pretty bird, or I don't know, maybe something
Full
cool
rainbow,
happens. Yeah.
something.
Like that we wouldn't have seen if we weren't stuck.
Yeah. Yeah,
And maybe
exactly.
not. But
Yeah,
you know,
but what you're speaking to is that you're tuning yourself to, like, you literally you're tuning yourself. You're not hoping for it. It's
no.
like, and if it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, okay, I'll deal with it, right? But you're projecting it in a sense that energy is what you're what you're working on attracting, basically. So like,
Mhm.
if I'm emitting energy of I don't know, I'm tired and I don't want to talk to anybody, and I go to grocery store, now I'm avoiding people because I don't want to talk to anybody, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Versus like if
Mhm.
I'm tuned to energy that's like, okay, well, I feel tired. Yes, that's
Mhm.
still the same scenario.
Right.
But now I'm looking at it like, okay, so I'm tired, but perhaps there'll be something that's going to happen that's going to help me be not tired. Who
Mhm.
knows?
Yeah.
And so I go to, let's say, from your example, is going to grocery store, and now maybe I see a friend, which actually happened not too long ago that I haven't seen for a long
Mhm.
time,
Yeah.
and we just like bumped into each other, and it's like made my day. All of a sudden, I feel a lot better that I got a chance to interact and connect with this person
Mhm.
that I haven't seen for a long, whatever. It's just
Yeah.
like when you
Yeah.
tune yourself into that possibility, it becomes a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's like I do this and I set out like this, but I'm not attached to whether it happens or not.
yeah.
So it doesn't matter. But
Mhm.
when I do it, I'm happy all day.
Mhm.
Like somebody said, well, what do you mean you're happy all day? I'm not happy all day every day, but I'm happy every day. But like,
Yeah.
I'm more likely to have a longer span of happiness. Like, what negative could happen? Like, what do we have to lose if we just go out and like assume it's going to be a decent day? Like,
Mhm.
what do we have to lose?
Yeah, again, I mean, this is a projection of our mental body. So, like, if I'm
Mhm.
projecting thoughts and images and feeling
Mhm.
into something that, let's say, I would like, things
Mhm.
that I would
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
then those projections actually are going to start to manifest versus I'm
Mhm.
projecting something that I'm afraid of. Guess
Yeah.
what? That's what's going to also manifest because you're giving that your awareness, your
Right.
attention, and your energy.
Yeah. Another example comes to mind. I just
Uh-huh.
want to pop in here just because it was an experience of mine.
Uh-huh.
The day that I got in a car crash that would alter my life, re-injure my brain and my neck, cause 3 years out of work, cause a lot of negative things.
Mm-hmm.
It was a beautiful Saturday morning. It was sunny. I was excited. I was going on a hike. I
Mm-hmm.
was a week and a half away of launching an all new work stuff. I was
Mm-hmm.
top of the world,
Mm-hmm.
and I get in a violent car crash that would alter. But
Rest of your life. Mm.
but the car crash brought me into experiences, lessons that I needed to learn, wisdom that now, the position I'm in now, mentally, physically, spiritually, where I am now is 20-fold
Exponential. Yeah.
where I was that day.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, there was a car crash. Yes, I was injured. Yes, it caused financial crisis. Yes, but it got me where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, things happen, crashes happen, injuries happen, things happen. And yeah, I was in a great mood that day. I wasn't in a bad mood. I wasn't grumpy. And so, but it's all okay. It was all in the flow of my life experience because things that I came to and through because of that, I needed them for what I'm doing now and the work that I'm here to do and what I'm here to do in the world. I
Mm-hmm.
needed that.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is life school. And, you know, some classes are really hard,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's all right. It all
Mm.
comes to be.
Yeah. It's the viewpoint through which we look, through our eyes through which we
Yeah.
look, is what we see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to close that with just again suggesting that the same rhythm that moves the oceans,
Mm.
the same rhythms that makes the day and night, makes planets
Yep.
hurl around sun and the sun move in a galaxy, the same rhythms,
Mm-hmm.
cycles are within you and they move you. So why
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't we trust that there is something bigger than just my little
Yeah.
sometimes confused mind that wants to feel safe, that is
Yeah.
fearing that something bad's going to happen. So
Mm-hmm.
can we trust and extend the trust that maybe even things that we label bad or wrong are
Yeah.
for benefit of not only myself or and others.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
thank you again, Tammy, for
Mm.
hanging out with me
Thank
for
you.
this time. And
Mm.
you guys out there, again, thanks for listening, tuning in. And wishing you all the best to embracing your
Mm.
cycles. And I look forward to seeing you again next time.
Thank you.
And thank you again for hanging out with us in today's Unwake Aware podcast. If you have enjoyed today's episode, hit that like button, subscribe, and the bell if you'd like to get notifications. Leave us a comment. Would much appreciate that so we know what it is that you guys are interested in. And in the meantime, stay awake, stay aware, take good care of you. We'll see you next time.